Greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host as we spend this time together today. It's a joy to be with you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for making this podcast a part of your journey. I want to thank you for being on the journey, for walking through this, for investing in yourself, engaging in yourself, growing in yourself. It is such an awesome and incredible thing to see someone really wanting to advance and grow. That is really where we as people are expanding, is when we're willing to invest in ourselves. You know, we carry so much experience, so much past, so much time and place in ourselves that we've let go, ignored, put energy somewhere else. But the fact that you're here, the fact that you're looking at yourself, questioning, advancing, growing, it's so awesome. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for allowing me to come alongside you, for offering some tidbits of wisdom, some guidance, some coaching. If this podcast is helpful, as always, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If you follow me or the life coaching on any one of those feeds, you're going to see these podcasts. If you're on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, then follow us, give us a rating and review. Every positive rating and review tells the platform people are listening, and you'll get notifications when a new episode comes out. And if you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. I truly would love to hear from you. GraceLifeCoaching.com, you can set an appointment, you can reach out to me. If you want to do some coaching or some of the other things that I offer, that's where it's got all my stuff, GraceLifeCoaching.com. So I truly would love to hear from you. So today I want to continue on in our talk about the power of social media. And I want to talk about something very deeply personal. I don't want to talk about algorithms or screen time or notifications. I want to talk about identity. So who are you without the screen? It's a simple question, but it may be one of the most important questions of our generation. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when there are no likes, no comments, no followers, no audience, no validation, just you? Because one of the greatest challenges of social media is that it can slowly blur the line between who we are truly and who we present ourselves to be. Without realizing it, many people begin to build an identity around reactions. They begin measuring worth by visibility, success by engagement, value by approval. And the result is often anxiety, insecurity, exhaustion, and a growing sense of disconnect from themselves. So today we're going to explore how identity is formed, why social media influences self-worth, the danger of living for validation, authenticity versus performance, how to reconnect with your true self, and how to build confidence that doesn't depend on an audience. So that's where we're going to go. So let's begin with something important. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be seen. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be appreciated. There's nothing wrong with wanting connection. Human beings are wired to belong. We are wired to fit within the tribe. We don't want to be isolated. We don't want to be invisible. We all want to know, do I matter? Am I valued? Am I accepted? Do people really care about me? Those desires are normal. Healthy relationships help satisfy those needs. And when we look in healthy relationships like family and friends, community, meaningful connection, those questions begin to get answered within those relationships. The problem begins when social media, when the platforms become the primary source of that validation. Because social media offers something very powerful. It offers instant feedback. You post something, within minutes you receive reactions, likes, comments, shares, views, and your brain begins to associate those responses with value. The danger isn't that validation exists. The danger is when validation becomes identity. The danger is when validation becomes identity. Think about this. Imagine if every day your value felt tied to a scoreboard, okay? One day the numbers are high. You feel great. The next day engagement drops. Suddenly you question yourself. Many people unknowingly live this way online. Their emotional state rises and falls with those metrics. The followers, the views, the comments, the engagement, the reach. The problem is that those numbers were never designed to measure your worth. They measure activity, okay? Very different between worth and activity. They don't measure your worth, they measure activity. algorithms and timing and trends and visibility, but they do not measure character. They do not measure integrity. They do not measure kindness. They do not measure wisdom or faithfulness or love or courage. Yet many people begin treating them as if they do. They treat activity as identity. And that's a dangerous place to build self-esteem, my friends. It really, truly is. Because anything built on external approval becomes unstable. You always have to keep providing in order to get that approval. When approval comes, you feel good. When approval disappears, confidence collapses. That's not confidence, my friends. That's dependency. Your identity is dependent on the approval, the reaction, the likes, the looks, the views of others. That's a very dangerous place to be, because our identity and our worth is not tied to what other people appreciate in us or approve in us or look at us. We become dependent on how other people react. So what that does is that then encourages us to create the curated self. Okay. One of the interesting realities of social media is that it allows us to curate what other people see, to choose what other people see. Think about it. Most people don't post everything. They select. They select what picture looks good. They select what moment looks good. They edit. They filter. They crop. They adjust. They rewrite in order to get approval. They present what they want people to see. In many ways, social media gives us control over our public image. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. There really isn't. I don't want to paint social media as the great evil of our generation, because it's not. It's a thing, okay? It's a thing. It has no value one way or another. It's a thing. It's a tool to be used. Okay, like I said before, a hammer can build a house and a hammer can tear a house down, but a hammer is just a hammer. Social media is a tool, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it. The challenge is not with the tool, it's with the user. The challenge is when the online version of ourselves becomes very different than the real version of ourselves. That's when we start to curate a public image that is different from our reality. When presentation becomes more important than authenticity, that's when identity is based on an external public image and not on who you are as a person. People begin to ask, how will this look? What will people think? Will this get attention? Will this increase engagement? So the image that they put out is not the authentic self. What it is, it's a curated image in order to attract others. Instead of asking, is this true? Is this truly who I am? Is this meaningful to my life or what I'm presenting? Is this really me? Okay. Is this really me? Is the curated image of me really me? And slowly, people begin to start performing a version of themselves rather than living as themselves. The more performance grows, the more exhausting life becomes, because maintaining an image requires constant effort. Authenticity requires a whole lot effort. So what happens is with this ability to curate ourselves, we just want to curate over and over. The more we curate, the more approval we get. So we curate more. So we create a life that isn't truly authentic to us. It is an online version of us. And our identity slowly slips away. And the averse becomes true. The averse becomes true. In that when we curate our own lives and present that public image, we also don't want to miss out on what is happening in other people's lives. Again, remember we talked before about that comparison, and we're comparing. So I want to see what's going on in other people's lives. I've talked about this before in other podcast episodes. FOMO, the fear of missing out. Social media creates the illusion that everyone is constantly doing something exciting. That everyone is constantly traveling or celebrating or winning or achieving or gathering or experiencing. That everybody else's life is this grand expression of all of these wonderful things over and over, that nobody works, that nobody has to live daily life, that their image and identity is all about the grandiosity and the travel and the celebrating. And meanwhile, you're sitting at home folding laundry or paying bills or working or handling ordinary life. So all of a sudden, there's this comparison. Oh my gosh, look at that curated life over there. If we don't see that it's curated, if we think that that's normal life, and that my normal life requires dusting the cabinets and cleaning the bathroom and driving my kid to this place or that, or, figuring out what's for dinner every day for the rest of my life, then all of a sudden I fear I'm missing out on something. I'm missing out on something great and incredible. And suddenly, normal life becomes inadequate. Normal life becomes inadequate. Is that reality? Most people live an ordinary life. Most meaningful growth happens in ordinary moments. Most successful people spend far more time working than celebrating. Most healthy relationships are built on routine, not excitement. You build a relationship on routine and then you sprinkle in excitement. But social media highlights exceptional moments and hides ordinary reality. The result is distorting the perception of life. People begin feeling left out of experiences they never wanted until they saw them online. That's the power of comparison mixed with identity. And when our identity is deeply intertwined with our public expression and our curated life, what tends to happen is we start having that fear of missing out. Somehow I'm missing out on life. Somehow a picnic in the park on a Saturday afternoon is not good enough because I don't have, my Rolls Royce or my Bentley, or I'm not wearing, the perfect shoes, or I don't have the perfect pictures, okay? So what happens is when we curate this life, we start to feel that, when we don't realize that other people are curating their lives, we start to feel that they're living an ordinary life and that's their ordinary life. And my ordinary life is this. And that's not true. That's not reality. Most people live an ordinary life most of the time because life is ordinary and it's meant to be ordinary. Okay. So let's kind of shift here a little bit in that and talk about the importance of authenticity. Let's talk about authenticity. Authenticity is one of the most overused words today. But what does it actually mean? Authenticity means alignment. It means your outer life matches your inner life. It means the person people see is the person you really are, which is opposed to that curated life. It means you don't need to constantly wear masks. It means you can be honest about strengths and weaknesses. It means you don't need to impress everyone. Authentic people are not perfect. They're real. And here's something fascinating. Most people are drawn to authenticity, not perfection. I want to say that again because it's really important. Most people are drawn to authenticity, not perfection. I mean, think about the people you trust most. It's usually not because they're flawless. It's because they're genuine. People connect with honesty. People connect with humility. People connect with realness. The more authentic you become, the less exhausting life becomes because you're no longer managing multiple versions of yourself. Now it's time to reflect on a few questions. Not answer them immediately. I want you to think about them. I want these questions to kind of roll around inside of you and really kind of dig into you. Who are you when nobody is watching? What values matter most to you? What kind of person do you want to become? What gives your life meaning? What would remain of you if social media disappeared tomorrow? Would you still know who you are? Would you still feel valuable? Would you still have purpose? These questions matter because identity built on external approval is fragile. Identity built on values is durable. Identity built on character lasts. Identity built on purpose survives criticism. Identity built on authenticity remains stable regardless of trends. And that's what we want to build. We want to build an identity that is durable. We want to build character that lasts. We want to build purpose that survives criticism. We want to build authenticity that remains stable regardless of trends. So how do we do that? How do we build identity beyond social media? Well, let's look at that. First thing is clarify your values. Ask yourself, what matters most to me? Not what gets attention, not what gets likes. What genuinely matters? Write it down. Write down what genuinely matters. Start at the top of the list with what matters the most and make your list descending from most to least. What matters most to me? Then begin to separate worth from performance. Your worth is not determined by your productivity, not by your popularity, not by your online presence. You have value because you're human, okay? You have value because you are. Performance changes. Worth does not. You have value because of who you are. When we separate our worth from performance, when we start to see that I have value in this world because of who I am, I have value in my family structure because I'm part of it, I have value in my marriage because I'm part of it, I have value in my children's life because I'm their parent, okay? Performance changes. Worth does not. So we want to start separating worth from performance and really invest in real relationships. People who truly know you matter more than strangers who merely see you. Build depth over visibility. Build relationships with people that matter. Invest in real relationships, like people you can touch, people you can spend time with, the people who are closest to you. Build those inner circle relationships. Make them stronger because that's where identity and worth come from. And practice authenticity. Be honest. Be real. Stop trying to impress everyone. The people who matter most usually value authenticity far more than perfection. So stop practicing perfection and start practicing authenticity. Be authentic. Be around people who you can be authentic with, who you can be real with, who you can be honest with. Not the curated life that is made online, but real, honest life. Practice that authenticity. So here's a powerful idea I want to give you. The healthiest confidence often develops in private. Okay? The healthiest confidence often develops in private, not public. Confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself. You develop discipline. You learn new skills. You overcome challenges. You act according to your values. Not those things that require an audience. In fact, some of the strongest personal growth happens where nobody sees it. And that's good news because it means your growth is not dependent on approval. It means your identity is not dependent on attention. It means your value is not dependent on visibility. Now think about the freedom in that. Think about how freeing that is when you can see your identity not dependent on attention, but your identity built on what you have, the foundation that you've made. That your value is not dependent on visibility, because not everybody's going to say, you could post 8, 10, 12 times a day, but if the algorithms aren't working the same way, if people aren't online, they're not going to see it. Your identity, your value is not built on visibility. That's freedom, my friends. Go back to the question. Who are you without the screen? Not who others think you are. Not who algorithms reward. Not, who gets the most attention. Who are you? Because the answer to that question matters. Social media can be a wonderful tool. It really, truly can. But it should never become the foundation of identity. Your worth is deeper than likes. Your value is greater than followers. Your purpose is larger than engagement. And the more grounded you become in who you truly are, the less powerful social media has over your self-worth. So I'm going to give you a challenge this week. This week, I encourage you to do something. Spend one meaningful experience without documenting it. No photos, no videos, no postings. Just experience it fully. Be present. Notice how it feels to enjoy a moment without needing to share it. Notice how it feels to be in that moment without having to invite someone else into it. That's what I got for you for today, my friends. I hope it's helpful. If it is, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If you follow me or the life coaching on any one of those feeds, then you'll see these episodes. Share them out there. If you're on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, follow us. Give us a rating and review. You'll get notifications when a new episode comes out. If you want to reach out to me directly, as always, GraceLifeCoaching.com is a website. I would truly love to hear from you. At Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.